Sure it'll work. Start at 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We can keep track of 2 minutes. All right. Flipping the switch. And we are starting in 10, 9, 8.
And when I was doing Servalan, I can remember one night looking in the makeup mirror just before I went on the set. I was poured into the frock, in it for days, nails, makeup. I remember looking into the mirror and saying, "Up yours, Reverend Mother." Gave me enormous pleasure.
All right.
Welcome, Vortisaurs, Triiscalae, and Edwardian adventuresses to this, the 272nd episode of Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 5th of September, 2018, and featuring Big Finish, Storm Warning, written by Alan Barnes and starring the voices of Paul McGann as the Doctor and India Fisher as Charlotte Charlie Pollard. I am your host for this season, Randy Ronson McCulloch, and on the panel this evening is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
Guess what I'm drinking? I'm not going to wait. It's Crystal Pepsi.
Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black.
I'd have a catchy update, but it's the beginning of the semester still, and my brain is fried like every day.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan cannot be here tonight due to a late night at the Gallery Players Theater in New York rehearsing for their production of A Chorus Line. Also, Thomas Fireheart will not be here tonight as he does not review audios.
Although we really should break him on Big Finish.
We've tried. He resists.
Mm.
I mean, the only way would be to get him here, sit him down, and basically Clockwork Orange him, so...
We're going to do all of the 8th Doctor series on you until you finally snap.
All right.
Should have gone with the fact that I've been putting all my free time toward reading the new Sean and Maguire book that came out yesterday, but too late for a do-over.
I keep, just doing what I normally do, read fiction, and then walk outside my house and see if the neighborhood is washed away yet.
Also keep an eye out for that big wooden boat.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well, I've been considering selling my van and buying a houseboat at this point. It might be the safest solution.
But how do you get an internet connection on a yacht?
I don't know. I could find a way, probably satellite. Anyway, yeah, the rain around here has been really bad if you haven't checked the news. One of the places I used to take swimming lessons, ironically, is now under something like 6 or 7 feet of water.
That's good for a swimming place.
Yeah. Yeah,
Has it been raining ever since the flooding?
It hasn't been raining constantly, but yeah, it's like we get 1 to 2 days of clear weather, followed by 3 to 4 days of rain, followed by 1 to 2 days of clear weather. Keep repeating ad nauseum.
For
over here, it's been constant slight drizzling.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
It's been constant drizzling here, except for maybe 1 or 2 days of overcast.
I mean, usually we get some isolated thunderstorms this time of year, but yeah, this constant shit's new. And I mean, it's, sometimes it's just little light pissing, and sometimes we get frickin' torrential downpour. Erin decided this morning that she wanted to go out to breakfast at this little place down on the south side of town. So we get in our car, we leave the garage, and she notices it's raining a little. I'm still driving with my window down. It's that light. By the time we get on the belt line heading over there, I can barely see 5 feet in front of the car. It's raining so hard. And then we had to dash into the restaurant in the rain, which, I absolutely despised, and I was wet and miserable the rest of the day until I got home and could get out of those wet clothes.
Right.
Now I got to do laundry tomorrow so they don't mildew. Oh, joy. It's just been that kind of day.
Our
All
weather
right.
hasn't been It hasn't been so dramatic. It's just been enough of a heat wave that the public schools have not had a full day of class yet because they've been letting out early due to 90 degrees weather and no AC all week.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Holy hell.
I mean, at
Who
least my
decided
school...
that?
No, I'm just wondering why your schools don't have climate control.
Yeah.
So that would require giving a shit.
Freaking morons.
I mean, my high school had climate control.
Whoever
least for
built
most
them
of the
decided
building.
we were far enough north that we didn't need AC. And most of us have grown up and spent our lives hating whoever made that decision.
Yeah, I think someone needs a good stern talking to by the collective of parents who should be protecting their children from a horrible heat cell.
Yeah, I mean, some of the older building in West, because there was like the original building and then there was the add-on. The add-on had air conditioning. The original building did not, and I don't know whose idea it was to put the biology lab in the old building. Yeah, 90-degree weather plus...
Yeah, usually biology is kind of, what you want to be in, like, the newest update you have.
Yeah, well, this was my high school. But
my high school came out of the 70s and at least had air in the entire place.
Well, mind you, West High was built in the 50s or 60s. I don't know which. But
based on Facebook, the no AC thing seems to be spread throughout all of Connecticut. So I don't
that's really dumb. But yeah, you can imagine my joy at having a test involving dissected fetal pigs.
That had rotted?
At the last period of the day in 100+ degree weather, and that biology lab was in the part of the building above the tar gym roof.
Yeah.
I walked in that door, turned around, looked at the teacher, and said, "I'll take the 0," and walked out.
I would have done the same.
Because I couldn't be in there for 3 minutes without vomiting. It was that bad.
That'd be the kind of thing that would turn my stomach.
And on that note, on tonight's episode, we have news and birthdays. We have, unfortunately, a lost story. I don't think we have any geek talk tonight.
I can sprinkle in some quick geek talk. There's some.
If we have time, there's a lot of news.
Is there? Okay, we'll see.
The BBC's press machine has fired up.
Thomas the Power, then.
Of course,
and then,
good time is over.
Yeah, episode summary, then our reviews, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So we'll go ahead and start with birthdays. Starting on the 31st of August was the birthday of Roy Castle, who played Ian in Doctor Who and the Daleks. That's the movie version. Would have been 86, but died in 1994 at the age of 62. Moving forward a day to the 1st of September was the birthday of Bern Gorman, who plays Owen Harper in Torchwood, both the TV series and the continuing audios. Turned 44. And on the 4th of September was the birthday of Kai Owen, who played Rhys Williams in Torchwood. He turned 43, and that shocked me when I realized that Kai Owen is basically about, 6 months older than me. Yeah, that kind of hit what the hell, man. Anyway, that is our birthdays.
Also, I turned 30.
Oh, that's right.
right.
Went out
We
for
were going.
friends
We
and
were going to
everything.
add that on there last week after the thing, and I didn't get to it. I am so sorry, Bill. Yes, Bill turned 30, like pretty much right after the podcast.
Yep.
Happy birthday, belated Bill.
Okay.
All right, so we will go ahead to our lost story here, and
Yep.
this is a doozy.
Yes, so it is with deepest regret that an Unearthly podcast announces the death of Jacqueline Pierce, the woman who played the villainous Androgum Chesney in Chesney in the Two Doctors, as well as Cardinal Olistra in Big Finish's Eighth Doctor and War Doctor's Time War audios. However, her most famous role is the evil leader of the Federation in Blake 7, Servalon. She also played roles in The Avengers and Armchair Theater, as well as The Plague of the Zombies and The Reptile from Hammer Studios. Her roles defined sexy, ambitious evil in the 70s and 80s, and she reveled in her newfound sex symbol status. Jacqueline died Monday in her home of lung cancer at the age of 74.
That's a big blow because she was still doing those Time War audios.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She was still doing the Time War, and I think she was also involved in Blake 7 audios.
Quite possibly. I mean, she was Servalan. I mean, she owned that role.
I mean, how else are you going to
That
do
was
for...
that was a role that originally the Blake 7 development team wanted a man for a one episode. And then she just somehow managed to land that part, owned it, and just became a reoccurring character. She became their basically the Gul Dukat of Blake 7. She was awesome at that role. She really just rocked it. She will definitely be a voice to be missed. All right. So now we get to the news everyone's been waiting for. The BBC has finally announced the date the premiere for Series 11 of Doctor Who, and we were right on the nosy. Doctor Who is abandoning its traditional Saturday night showing and opting instead for airing Sunday nights starting October 7th, with the first episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. This means the 10-episode run should finish around December 9th, making 16 days off before the Christmas special on the 25th, which is, of course, its usual airtime. This isn't the first time Doctor Who has left Saturday nights on a season, as season 22 was also aired off Saturdays, on Mondays to be precise, back in 1985. So that's what we've been waiting for. We'll have to see how it does on Sundays, because that's going to be a bit of a change. I know I can bet Sarah Bloy, our friend from GeekCon, will be swearing up a storm. And I'm going to be a little bit annoyed too, but not too bad, because that means Doctor Who will be airing while GeekCon meetings are going on.
Yeah.
All right. Is
airing still a thing that television does?
Yes, it is. BBC America still has airtime. All right.
Go to the iPlayer and that's
well. iPlayer is in England. Yeah, I wish I could go to iPlayer. All right. Chris Chibnall has said some words to the tabloid The Daily Star regarding the woman who fell to Earth. He said, the first story is much more a story of survival for the new Doc. The last we saw of her, she was falling through the air above planet Earth, so it's less about gender and more about how am I going to get out of this? The gender issue is pretty bypassed. It's not really kind of a gender-related story or anything like that. If this is true, this is actually a positive sign for the series, because they're not going to be focusing on, oh, I'm a woman! No, it's going to be more down to brass tacks, which is what they need to do.
Yes.
All right. Our next article, all of the Series 11 writers were interviewed with Doctor Who magazine, and they had to sum up their episodes in 3 words. This is what they had to say. Joy Wilkinson refers to her episodes as dark, funny, squelchy. We don't know about the squelchy part, but we like the other 2.
Dark funny can be good.
Dark funny can be good. Squelchy? I don't know about squelchy.
I'm guessing Mud Planet.
I'm hoping that's where she was going with that. I mean, there's a few other things that could be squelchy, and I'm hoping they don't go that way.
Not squicky.
No, body
No.
part. No, like body parts being, crushed could make a squelching sound.
Yeah.
Mm.
Things getting
Gore,
mushed.
gore, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping they don't go for the gore.
Well, we just throw
Depends on how they
companions
do
and
it.
a meat grinder every couple of episodes, and
Vinny Patel, one of the other writers, summed up his contribution as educational, epic, emotional. Sounds good.
Mm.
Pete Matai promised a creepy, fun roller coaster.
I can go for that.
That's another
the
good
Killing
trio.
Joke.
Ed Him said his stuff on the show had been really rather spooky. And finally, Mallory Blackman may have cheated a bit when she said her work on the show is heartfelt, thought-provoking, and timely. Blackman also said a few more things afterwards. Part of the joy of writing for Doctor Who is to try to surprise your audience no matter what their age. I love unpredictability, where you introduce the unexpected even into a story the audience may already think they know. We'll have to wait till October to see how this combination of adjectives blends together. All right. New executive producer Matt Stevens talked to Empire Magazine, and in it he said that Series 11 is like a box of chocolates. Really,
Oh
Forrest? Really?
Because everyone on Earth who speaks English hasn't heard that metaphor 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
His
so we're gonna
exact-
get a whole bunch of pits in there, huh?
His exact quote is, "It's a box of chocolates of a series. There's something different in every episode."
You never know what you're gonna get.
I know. The second I saw that quote, that's what went through my brain. And I'm like,
Yeah. Of course.
God damn it. Our new executive
You never
producer
know what you're
is
gonna get.
Forrest Gump.
You might not like it.
Stevens also apparently likes Jodie Whittaker. We knew she was good, but she's taken it to a whole new level. What you get from Jodie is a sense of joy, sense of wonder, and a multifaceted performance that is instantly the Doctor. The same magazine also talked to director Jamie Childs, who admitted he tried to Spielberg it up a bit. Why is it that every director tries to be the next Steven Spielberg?
Because he's too damn popular, and everyone with an ego thinks they can do it too.
Why can't they be the next Wes Craven?
I would prefer that, yeah. If you can be the next Wes Craven, be the next Wes Craven.
Finally, it talked to Jodie Whittaker herself, who talked about the CGI. There'd been times where you're hoping your reaction is big enough, and then you've gone to the ADR, which is the additional dialogue recording, and you're like, oh my God, it's terrifying. Thank God I reacted like that.
Right. Jodie Whittaker was also interviewed by Marie Claire magazine in the middle of filming, and had a bit to say about her role.
Yeah, you might want to keep that water handy, Bill. Because
Yep.
she says a lot.
Yeah, that's why I went and got a picture when I saw that block. She says, I feel like I've been handed this amazing world, and they've let me be like a kid in a toy shop and go off with it. Doctor Who wasn't something that was on TV in my house when I was growing up, so I thought I'd have to cane it before the first audition and watch every single episode. Thankfully, Chris Chibnall said, I don't want you to. I want you to come in with fresh eyes and bring what you would do in this environment.
That's a little worrying. It's always a little worrying when you hear a new doctor who really doesn't know anything about the show. Matt Smith didn't know anything about the show.
But
And
I don't
his
think it was
acting
Matt
was
Smith
never
that
the
was the
problem.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
She went on to talk about the role itself. With this role, I'm continually running around and jumping and playing, so I bound off into the weekend like a maniac. I'm like, come on, I'm awake. I'm probably an absolute pain in the arse. There's a weird euphoria, and that's why it's been so much fun. I've never laughed so much in my life, every day. I adore the companions, Bradley Walsh, Manda Peel, and Tosin Cole. I'm blessed to be given 3 people I now consider family members to go on this journey with. The conversation then proceeded to the costume. There isn't a sense of it's a girl's costume or it's a boy's costume. They're just clothes. I wanted the costume, the braces, t-shirt, trousers, and boots, to serve the energy and personality of my doctor. I was also like, cut my hair off. Let's do something mad. But Chris wanted the hair I auditioned with. All I could think was that it wasn't very practical and would be in my face all the time. She's smarter than most directors right there.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Uh, Finally, when asked about the Rosa Parks bus from the South Africa shoot, she said, all of that is top secret. I don't think you're supposed to know about that.
So, yep, they're still keeping a lot very close to the chest, apparently.
I guess Marvel's not the only one with snipers. According to companion Bradley Walsh, his signing on for the role required a leap of faith. I was with Chris having lunch last year, and he said, Brad, I want you to do a job. I said, sure, what? He said, I can't tell. It's very, very secret, but you are the man for the job. It's in Cardiff and will be a 9-month shoot. I feel like if you're an actor and you're told it's a 9-month shoot in Cardiff, you probably know. I mean, especially
Not necessarily.
especially if this was after Chris had been announced for what he was doing. He said, I had another meeting, and he said, it is Doctor Who, not for the Doctor, though. We're going to change it around. I said, who is going to be the Doctor? He said, we can't tell. So I said, I can't accept. He said, but we want you. It will be an unbelievable journey. It will be groundbreaking. We are going to go for it. The BBC have trusted us. So I'm in. A leap of faith.
Apparently, with the way the Doctor and the companions apparently click with each other, it was a well-founded leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is our Series 11 and interview news. We're going to go down to event news. The first Comic-Con Africa will be happening next weekend at Kyalami Convention Center outside of Johannesburg in South Africa. And the BBC has decided Doctor Who will be there. There will be a special Doctor Who experience featuring VR, video games, and a showing of Twice Upon a Time. The BBC studios will be able to be found at stand B113 in the exhibition hall.
There you go.
Yep, just a bit of news if you're in South Africa or can reach South Africa by next weekend. There's something you can do. All right, from there we're going to book news. And from there we don't have anything from BBC Novels or Candy Jar.
Right, yep. So as has become a tradition, 13th Dr. Jodie Whittaker will be receiving her own Mr. Man / Little Miss treatment as Dr. 13th. The new book, written by Adam Hargreaves, the son of Mr. Man creator Roger Hargreaves, will come out on the 9th of November from Puffin Books. In it, the Doctor, Graham, and Ryan try and come up with a fabulous surprise for Yaz on her birthday. And what an explosive surprise it is.
Yeah, we don't have much on that, like cash or anything, just that it's coming out. All right.
That's enough. That's a series that's ongoing.
Mm-hmm. So now we move on to our Big Finish news. And in it, we have two things. First of all, out yesterday, River Song meets the Fourth Doctor in the Diary of River Song Volume 4. Now, we've talked about this one before, and frankly, I don't think any of us like the concept of it. So all we're going to say about it is you can buy it now from the Big Finish website for £23 CD, £20 download. Just please don't expect us to review it.
And if we do review it, don't expect us to be happy.
Yeah.
Is that the one where there were the photos of her recording with
And I may have missed a link for Matt, so go ahead. Recording with who?
There was a photo of her with, Derek Jacobi. I don't know if that was from the recording session for this or for something.
No, that's for Volume 5. Volume 5, which will be out later, is her basing like 4 incarnations of the Master. All of the press photos for this was her facing was her and Tom Baker together. And yeah, not really the.
So they're not putting her up against the Tim Treloar, I forget who's doing the second Doctor, and Doug Bradley just yet, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The fact that she's going into the past Doctor so deep is already kind of concerning to me.
Yeah, considering
they're
the fact
definitely going to do one with Doug Bradley eventually with her. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. But it just annoys me to no hell since, the earliest one that River should have seen was the 10th, based on her dialogue back then, and then Moffat retconned it because River's song's a fucking Mary Sue. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
Let's move on.
Sorry.
More that she's something that rhymes with Smash Mouth.
Moving along.
All right, so in July 2019, Sheridan Smith reunites with Paul McGann to once again have more adventures with the Eighth Doctor and Lucy Miller in the Further Adventures of Lucy Miller. 4 new adventures titled The Dalek Trap by Nicholas Briggs, The Revolution Game by Alice Cavender, The House on the Edge of Chaos by Eddie Robson, and Island of the Fendel by Alan Barnes. The Further Adventures of Lucy Miller can be pre-ordered from Big Finish now for £25 CD, £20 download.
They have said that they're not resurrecting her from the dead. Rather, this is going to be set in a gap between.
It's going to be like
episode gap.
Yep.
Yep.
In
Happens.
another instance of the BBC showing its big legal guns, a series of snafus wound up with the BBC nearly suing Cultbox, one of our news providers, yesterday. Apparently, Apple iTunes broke street on the premiere date of Doctor Who. There was not a verb there, unless there's quotations wrong. I'm confused.
What do you mean? No, broke street is when you announce something before its scheduled release time.
It's capitalized like a name. That's why I was confused.
No, broke street means it's slang. It's a slang term meaning to release something. It used to be done retailers.
Right.
DVDs would be scheduled to come out on like a Tuesday. It was considered you broke street by releasing them like the weekend before. It's it means broke street date.
Yeah.
But broke street is the shortened version of it.
And when Cultbox reposted that, they received a cease and desist from lawyers on behalf of the BBC.
Mind you, that's not the BBC's legal department. These were actual lawyers acting on behalf of the BBC. So
the interesting part of the story is that there's no word on whether Apple got similar notifications and if they capitulated. We'll see if there's any further info on how this plays out.
Yeah. It's just this ongoing BBC battling against leaks.
And that in particular, it's we're announcing that another website says something is happening. That doesn't sound like something you can C&D over.
Well, yeah, it was, they did though, and they were very technical with it too. The terminology that was said in the letter, I wasn't trying to get that much into it, but since we're talking about it, they said, "Well, I understand the information posted under the said URL was obtained from open sources. It is classified and not intended to be available to the public. Thus, we kindly inform you that despite any circumstances, it constitutes a breach of trade secret, and further distribution of the information may contribute to accumulating ongoing losses to my client."
That definitely gets dangerous, because that basically means if you're a fan site talking about rumors, you could get sued by the BBC.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned that date previously. Hell, we mentioned it at GeekCon. It was speculation based on an educated guess. But we brought it up. Does that mean we're legally liable for it?
Right.
So yeah, that's a bit of concern if they're going a little too far on this. And this is
a lot of places are outreaching a little too far lately.
All right, so our last piece is actually from the rumor mill, not proper news. This is a rumor that I want to debunk.
It's a rumor to everybody.
So, according to the UK newspaper, the Daily Express, an unnamed source reported, mind you, this article was talking about how Jodie Whittaker's doctor was not going to get into a romantic relationship. So they reported the suggestion of this Time Lord fancying anyone is off the table. Although there are early plans to introduce an alien who may have enjoyed a relationship with her, that is, of course, complicated. Now,
that sounds stupid.
Yeah, it's really stupid for various reasons. This is the worst type of rumor.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from an unknown source, and while the article is about the BBC steering clear of romances, it has to insinuate otherwise in it to keep flames alive. It's uncited, unverified, and a textbook example of yellow journalism. I think we can discard this one as the Express basically trolling us. This is really bad reporting.
This is just throwing something out there to try and get attention.
Yeah, the Express is, by the way, a tabloid newspaper. I mean, they look like the National Enquirer. I took a look at their cover. But yeah, this is basically them trying to keep an argument alive while writing an article to quell said argument. Yeah, there's no verification to this. This one's just bad. And how would she have had a previous relationship with an alien if she just regenerated into this form? Is it supposed to be somebody from a previous doctor?
That's what I would think. Like someone that would show up and be like, oh, this is my ex, and oh, you're a woman now.
Yeah.
That still sounds.
And that's
really stretching it.
And really stupid.
I mean, any of the humans that he's snogged are technically aliens we can say this about if if the new doctor meets them.
And and there's fans are going to be like, "Oh, this means that Jodie is going to meet River Song." I'm like, "No. No, step away from that."
Putting a gun to my own head, step away from the River Song.
It's just this is nobody. Their sources doesn't exist. This is a complete work of fabrication.
Speaking of which, I think unless everybody's been very good at lying about it, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that Alex Kingston was nowhere near filming.
Oh yeah. Well, the rumor was that this was supposed to be something for Series 12, which isn't even on the writing table. Oh, people.
Which is why it further fails. So don't spread this bullshit.
Have you broken into Chris Chibnall's house and checked his desk for his notes? It could be. Please don't do that. That was not a suggestion. That's
basically what they're insinuating.
That was a joke.
Now, Bill.
Don't do that. If someone breaks into Chris
Bill,
Chibnall's
you suggested it. Now you get pantsed, Bill.
You are responsible enough that I will kick you in the dick. That's basically. But yeah, don't break into people's house. Breaking and entering is bad, unless the person involved is an evil mastermind trying to take over and or destroy the world.
In which case, sleuth all you want.
Very bad.
Okay, that is all our news, and we still managed to get it done in about half an hour. So
it's because we have not half a cast, but it seems actually, half a cast compared to what we had like 2 months ago.
Yeah, we have no Tim to comment, which is why Bill and I did all the news, and no Thomas.
No Aaron, no Thomas.
Well, Aaron's perma-gone.
That's what I'm saying. Compared to what we would have had 2 months ago, we have half a cast.
Yeah.
Unless we change our airtime, Matt, she's perma-gone. We have to expect that because she's going to be working while we're airing. So we'll deal with it. Okay, so you said you had some stuff to talk about Geek Talk?
I have some quickie things I can throw in there, yes.
Okay.
Little video game thing. I have gotten to the end of the video game Overlord, in particular Overlord Raising Hell. The game itself the original game is really good. The DLC Raising Hell, absolutely terrible. Come to find out after trying to stream it for an hour. Which is a real shame because I hear that's supposed to be the DLC that tells you how things end before the start of the second game, so oops. But on a more movie-based thing, a trailer came out this week.
Which one?
And that would be for Halloween 2018.
Hitting it a little late, aren't they?
It is releasing in October.
That meant the trailer should have been out around July.
They've been keeping this one really close to their chest, too. It seems to be a thing this year. Like, apparently Jamie Lee Curtis got to see the trailer already, like, months ago, and she says it's going to be awesome.
You would have think they would have brought that out for, like, Comic-Con or some shit.
They decided to hold on to it. Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back for this one. John Carpenter was producing it and helping the writers with it. They're reusing his original music. And also, the original Michael Myers, aka the Shape actor, is back for the first time. So he's the only repeat Michael Myers to date.
Mm.
And he's come back now 40 years later. And I have seen the trailer myself, and it looks amazing. They're canceling out a lot of the background, so if people wanted to hop on this one, the only movie that's a prerequisite is the original. Essentially, in the 40 years that passed since the original, Jamie Lee Curtis has been a survival nut. Picked up learning weapons, including shotguns and pistols. She has a secret basement cove for herself to protect herself, and she's had a daughter and a granddaughter now. And the basic plot is that as Michael is being moved somewhere via bus from the mental institute, he manages to somehow cause it to crash and escapes yet again, and then runs off to Haddonfield, Illinois, to once again find Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
Whom, if we're discounting part 2, may not even be related to him at this point.
The rumor of them being related is actually brought up in the trailer and is immediately tossed on the ground and stomped on. They're no longer brother and sister. Apparently.
Okay.
That was a thing that kind of came up in the additional TV footage for the original movie, and was a big thing for part 2 when it originally came out.
Right.
And was added on to a little bits here and there.
Sequels.
Yeah. And they've completely eliminated all of that.
See, to me, if they're going to reboot it by discounting a bunch of sequels, I would just say, okay, ignore part 6 because that had problems anyway. It was rebooted after that anyway.
Technically.
And part 5 gives you enough fodder that you could make, you could do a reboot with the next generation and it would fit within the universe of parts 2 through 5. Or you could just continue with existing characters.
Well, technically it was a reboot after part 6 where they refocused on Jamie Lee Curtis for one movie, and then they completely screwed it up the next movie after that.
Yeah, 7 was considered a direct sequel to part 2.
Pretty much.
It ignored 3 through 6 did not exist in 7's universe.
And 3 technically doesn't count because Michael Myers is not involved at all.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, was that everything you had, Matt?
But yeah, that's basically everything, and yeah, the trailer just looks astonishing. If you have even the slightest interest, go watch it. The end of the trailer, I've literally seen people jump out of their seats.
So the big news that hit Geekdom the last week or two, I don't think if it came out last week we didn't talk about it, but it's been pretty big, is the fact that Patrick Stewart will be reprising his role as Jean-Luc Picard in a new Star Trek series.
Right.
Actually, I've been hearing that for a while now.
The news only broke a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably heard it like the week it came out.
Yeah.
It's been like 3 or 4 weeks now.
It was after GeekCon, I think.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was not.
I heard about it before GeekCon.
Then it was a rumor. It wasn't confirmed.
Yeah, it was basically confirmed, I think, while I was at GeekCon, so.
Really? Because I could have sworn I'd seen footage of him saying, yes, I'll do it before GeekCon.
I think that was, if I'm offered, I'll do it. But then they offered, and he said yes. But yeah, so that will be coming out on Netflix next year.
The fact that it's going straight to Netflix this time.
No, excuse me, not at Netflix. It's going to CBS All Access. My bad.
Oh, blow me.
Kind of related to that, people were talking about how a Star Trek movie would fail without Chris Pine, since he's supposedly not reprising his role as Kirk. And I said, I'm sure James McAvoy will be glad to play Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
God damn.
They've been trying to work on a fourth movie. Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth both turned down the script for the fourth
Yep.
one.
Yeah, that was. I think that was because the script was crap.
I
However,
thought it might have been because it was taking so long and they had careers to get to.
That could be part of it. There's probably a list of things why they turned it down.
because I know the fact that Carl Urban is all hyped up, but not about the fourth movie. He wants to be in the Quentin Tarantino one.
Mm-hmm. Which might be the fourth movie now, or whatever weird movie it's going to be.
Yeah, if I was Chris Pines, I would say, I would not be saying I'm not going to I'm not going to do this role again. I would be saying no, just get to the Tarantino. I'll do the Tarantino. Because why would you not want to act in a movie directed by Quentin Tarantino? The man is a fucking legend. And apparently his script is amazing. It's different but amazing. And he is apparently a huge Trekkie nerd, so possibly a closet Trekkie nerd, but yeah,
apparently he's been a closeted one because people are just like, really? You're into Trek? Oh yeah, look at all this shit. Oh.
But still, that's awesome. Because you're getting some of these people that are talking about Doctor Who, and it's like, I always wanted to be, they're Doctor Who nerds that are in Doctor Who, and they generally make it better. David Tennant was a huge Doctor Who nerd, got to be in Doctor Who, made it better. Peter Capaldi, huge Doctor Who nerd, was in Doctor Who, made it better. Albeit the bar for Capaldi was pretty low because Matt Smith's one-dimensional character was kind of That I don't blame Matt Smith for that. I blame the writing.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, when you get fans that make stuff, that's usually pretty good, unless for whatever reason this fan has no talent.
I think Tarantino has proven more than once he's got quite a bit of a talent as a director.
Yes. What I was saying is, if your talent is not anything higher than amateur fan fiction, don't make a movie. If your reputation is Twilight, no.
What if your reputation is lost?
I still have issues.
Yeah, Abrams only sort of managed to make it work. He basically turned Star Trek into Star Wars, and it worked.
And he went to Star Wars and just copied all the highlights.
Yeah, but then he he made it work for the first movie, although there was a lot of plot holes. You just enjoyed the movie too much to care.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to the second movie and you're like, oh hell no. At that point, it just got to be too much, and that's the point where you saw that Abrams kept copying shit because. God damn, did he basically just remake Star Trek 2.
He remade Star Trek 2, but not as good.
And then you take a look at his episode 7 and you realize, that it's basically a greatest hits album. So you got to start wondering where J.J. Abrams' talent is.
You gotta start worrying now too because he's back on part 9.
Yeah. Was Abrams just a one-hit wonder, so to speak?
Oh, we're about to find out. Fasten your safety belts, kiddies. It's gonna be a wild ride.
Could you imagine if Joss Whedon made Star Trek?
Would be better.
That's debatable.
At least he'd have a direction to take it in.
The captain main character would be a female who would die saving her crew.
Not necessarily.
Say that. So.
Anyway.
It would probably not be as strict federation as we're used to. His closest take was Mal Reynolds, so
Mm-hmm. Well, that would
which
get
is
it
a little
close.
more Star Warsy than Star Trekky.
Yes and no. Firefly had some issues with
Mhm.
the
By
world
which I
with the
mean like the underground characters are a staple of pre-reboot Star Wars, and really not as much of Star Trek.
Mm. Well, you know, if you take a look back at the original series, the secondary characters were a lot more uncivilized back in those. And the original one was supposed to be, you know, essentially Wagon Train to the Stars was how it
True.
was pitched to CBS. So yeah, that Western feel might actually work.
True, yeah.
Actually, yeah, and who we're talking about doing directing now?
That's still Joss
Whedon.
Whedon.
Still Joss Whedon.
Yeah, because
Mm,
Bill said that the closest thing you could see of Whedon doing sci-fi was Firefly, which was
yeah,
and Bill thought it was too Western, but then I reminded him of the whole Wagon Train to the Stars thing. So
Well, I was
mm-hmm.
just thinking Star Trek generally focuses on more like middle to upper class characters that are part of a structure, part of a government, whereas Firefly
Not
is very anti
really.
that.
only
Um,
only only when you go into next gen do you see that, Bill. When
um,
you go back
When
to
you go back to the original, there's some
the original
plebes
they were
we
all part
follow
of the
too.
Federation,
oh yeah, they're still part of the
They're still
Federation.
part of the Federation. There's a
yeah,
lot of people part of the Federation, Bill.
right. That's what I mean. Whereas Firefly was the characters were very against the equivalent of a Federation.
Yeah, but
It was also a dystopian Federation, so
yeah. Can Whedon write Utopia? That's a good question.
mm.
That would be
Or
interesting.
can he take some of the essays people have written and deconstruct Star Trek's Utopia? And would people want to see that?
That generally tends to piss off the fan base.
Yeah, that's kind
Hmm.
of where what was that last
That
one that
that
just came out?
that's taking it into Section 31 territory, and that was very polarizing to the Star Trek fan base.
Well, that's kind of also what Discovery did. Yeah, that's what it was. Discovery.
Hmm.
It was kind of leaning towards that
Discovery
stuff
kind
too,
of
and
did.
it's just like, let's not.
and this isn't DC, so if it all goes bad, they can't blame it on Doctor Manhattan.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Or Superboy Prime.
mm, anyway, we are moving on. That's enough geek talk. Let's do the summary. Whose turn is it to do the summary?
I have not done it in a while. I think I can.
Okay,
All right,
go ahead.
if you're ready.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, go
Are we
ahead.
doing a countdown?
You still on countdown?
Okay.
Okay, 3,
Um,
2, 1, go.
All right, the doctor arrives in. At first, it's a chamber that just seems weird and smells odd, and he's not sure what's going on. And then he realizes he's aboard an airship. Not long after, a stowaway who had gotten a crew member drunk and taken his place for the adventure, because she considers herself an Edwardian adventuress, gets caught and revealed to be a young woman named Charlotte Pollard. She runs into the doctor, literally, if I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up meeting, introducing themselves. Uh, the doctor is looking for his TARDIS, which has just been jettisoned as extra weight. So I believe he actually reveals that fact a little earlier than he normally does in a strange place. And they end up barging in on this cabin where someone seems to be in pain, and they discover that there is an alien being kept there. The doctor ends up leaving because a creature that had become trapped in his TARDIS or come through the vortex with his TARDIS, called a Vortisaur that lives in the space-time vortex, was wreaking havoc. That's right. That's actually why somebody was in pain, because of the Vortisaur. So he goes off to take care of the Vortisaur while Charlie stays and learns more about the characters and this alien, um, which also results in the Doctor kind of rounding up all of the side characters from everything else going on. Uh, it is basically revealed that they are on the R101, an airship that the Doctor knows is going to crash the next morning, and a storm has been announced, a storm warning, if you will, has been announced. So the Doctor's pretty sure that they only have hours to live, and that he's really the only one meant to make it off alive. However, the government official aboard, whose name I can't quite recall, uh, has actually made secret modifications due to the alien passenger that the Doctors met, and they are actually intending to make a rendezvous. They elevate a bit, and they encounter a flying saucer from a race called the Triskele, who inspired the design known on Earth as the Triskelion.
That would be Lord Tamworth, by the way.
Lord Tamworth, yes, and I'm sure he's probably actually a real historic figure because the Doctor talks about him that way, and I know the R101 is historically accurate.
I actually tried looking that up and I couldn't find him.
Oh, okay, so maybe not.
I think he might be based on one, but no, there was a lord that crashed in the R101, but his name wasn't Tamworth.
Ah. Okay, so maybe they wanted to avoid using real names.
Possibly.
But anyway, so they enter this saucer, and the alien, who has perked up quite a bit now that now that it's among its own race, instructs the Doctor, Tamworth, and Charlie to come with them. They meet. The alien is revealed to be an engineer, essentially the thinking or superego portion of this semi-psychic race. They then meet the uncreators, essentially the id of, again, semi-psychic. They're sort of individuals, sort of hive mind. Little complicated, but not too much. And at first, this creature is very angry because Tamworth isn't his own counterpart. He's not actually a military mind. He has military experience, but he is not bent on destruction the way the Uncreator is. However, the Uncreator reaches out with his feelings using the dark side of the Force and discovers Rathbone, basically an intelligence agent who is still aboard the R101, who is much more his kind of fellow. Finally, they meet the leader of the Triskele, the Law, who is, if you've been following the metaphor, essentially the ego of their mind. And he's actually a singular being. There is not a group of Law, there is one. And he is finally going to die of old age after an unnaturally prolonged life and is looking for a replacement. As they're hashing these things out, Rathbone has decided that they've been aboard the ship too long and decides to invade, uh, basically playing into the Uncreator Prime's hands. The Law is killed, causing momentary chaos, but they finally realize that the Uncreators, who have been trapped essentially for too long, can be intimidated by acting aggressive, and basically the Doctor needs to convince the engineers to be more aggressive in order to prevent the destruction of their kind. After a bit of a struggle, Tamworth was his name?
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
Something
So
like
he ends up staying behind to temporarily take the lawgiver's place until he dies of old age, because he's a human and he's getting up there. And based on his voice, I would take it that he's not afraid of your physical vices. I don't know what gave me that impression, but something did. And meanwhile, the Doctor and Charlie, actually, before that, they go back aboard the R101. The Doctor's wondering why everybody's celebrating, and they realize that they've stolen an alien weapon, which would change the course of history if left in their hands. The Doctor, I believe, destroys it, and he and Charlie escape. Before the R-101 crashes, they also take the Vortisaur with them. And in the aftermath, the Doctor wonders if he broke the web of time by taking a person off of the R-101 who was meant to die aboard it, hence setting up the ongoing storyline for the next several Eighth Doctor stories. And that's the end.
7 minutes.
So,
And, by the way, you messed up the end a little bit. He didn't break the weapon. The guy, Rathbone, came after him with an axe, hit the weapon several times, but also hit the balloon and start puncturing holes and everything. To which I believe then with the ship dipping, the weapon was lost possibly in the water, and the guy trying to get it was also tossed off the ship and died on impact.
So the real world version of Tamworth was Baron Christopher Birdwood Thompson, Lord Thompson,
and
who was the Secretary of State for Air at the time of the crash, and he was on board.
And was he actually involved in the Treaty of Versailles, like Tamworth in the story? Or did he not say?
Let's see.
Although I thought they said the Secretary of Air was still aboard the R-101 while Tamworth wasn't, but...
Yeah, they had a couple of other important people on board, supposedly.
Yeah, so he might have just been a completely custom character.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole list of people who are on there. Okay. And it was like, let's see. Flight Lieutenant Carmichael Irwin, Lord Thompson, Secretary of State for Air, Sir Sefton Brankers, Director of Civil Aviation, Squadron Leader William Palstra, RAAF Air Liaison Officer to the British Air Ministry, Director of Airship Development.
Oh, sorry, Tamworth was Minister of Air, so I must have been thinking maybe it was like somebody, maybe one of the underlings still aboard the.
Yeah, so Lord Tamworth basically replaced Lord Thompson in the Doctor Who universe, or at least in the Big Finish universe.
Right.
Okay.
And no, I see nothing about Thompson being at the Treaty of Versailles. He did serve in the First World War.
So that might have given them more reason to create a new character.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, he was part of the delegation to the Versailles Conference.
Oh, okay, perfect.
There you go.
Yep. And condemned the Versailles terms as containing the seeds of another war.
Perfect.
Okay, so they just did.
They just changed the name.
Yes.
The real name.
This just the character a little bit by changing the name.
He was a member of the Labor Party. Yeah.
Yeah. Okie doke.
So yeah, they just basically changed the name to protect the innocent. To protect getting sued for character defamation.
Possibly, yeah.
By his family.
Depends on how protective they were of his name, yeah.
Yeah, they that might have been it. They might have not gotten permission to use the name Lord Thompson. Okay. So what did we like about the episode? And we are going to deal with Tim first. What he liked was Charlie. His favorite kind of companion is always one that show enthusiasm, opposed to ones who are there against their will. Charlie fits into this category nicely. Another point in her favor is she shows initiative without being reckless and knows when to follow the Doctor's lead. Okay. I think she was a bit reckless.
She's definitely refreshing to hear after some of the the more Tegan-inspired New Who characters, where they're kind of jaded and they just go along with it. They're like, okay, she's actually enthusiastic about going out and experiencing things.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Favorite thing overall. I particularly liked how quirky the Eighth Doctor was in this. Very referential a lot of the time.
And this was his first outing.
For Big
I
Finish.
think he kind of kept some of that from the TV movie.
Yeah.
Just reference after reference after reference.
I don't know if his personality is anything like in the VNAs, but they were his only thing before this.
Yeah, but he wasn't really in charge of those.
Doctor?
Other, the novels. Yeah, that's all other people's writing. He didn't get any input into it.
Oh, you mean Paul McGann as the actor?
Yes.
I was going to say, I'm like, the Doctor? What? He
No,
wasn't.
No, the actor, Bill.
Okay.
Jeez. For crying out
He
loud.
didn't write this one either. But he probably had some discussion with
the actors. Yeah.
Actors still discuss things with writers and so on.
Or
Come
at
up
least
with ideas.
get some rewrites and some ad libs in there.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be better if I said this kind of thing?
How? See, you're getting it.
Okay. So, Bill, how about you?
So I kind of like how they're taking a real event that, at least based on the way the Doctor talks, it sounds like this is something that is fairly well known in Britain.
Oh, it is. This is Britain's Hindenburg.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Where it's definitely like I had to check to make sure it wasn't fictional as an American. So it's definitely good to see. It's educational to see something like this while at the same time being, entertaining and having the fictional elements. But it's always nice when they can take a real event and make an interesting story out of it.
Yep. After the R101 basically heralded the end of Britain's Zeppelin program. You remember the alternate universe Pete's World in New Who?
Yep.
You can imagine at least some of that is what it would have been like
if the Doctor had saved the
if the R101 never happened.
Mm-hmm.
If the Hindenburg never happened, if the USS Akron hadn't happened.
We've upgraded the Zeppelin?
Yep, pretty much those three things are what killed the that killed Zeppelins. Those three accidents.
And yet the Titania didn't kill both. The Titanic.
Didn't kill boats because boats had been around forever by then.
Yeah.
It just made people really leery of the big giant metal ones that couldn't turn.
Yeah, that made them put in a whole bunch of new safety features.
It took a while that people warmed up to them again, yeah.
And made sure your iron was up to snuff. Anyway.
So that was
Bill's? By
Bill's?
the way, the R101 did have the nickname the Socialist Airship, by the way.
Okay.
Because of the company that built it, which was part of, Lord Thompson's stuff. So, right, remember, there's that scene where he's accused of being a socialist, and he says, oh, yeah, I'm a different kind of socialist, Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
All right, so was that yours, Matt, or was that Bill's?
I was going to say, wasn't that Bill's? I think it was Bill's.
That was mine, yeah.
Okay, so then we're up to what I liked about it. And what I liked about it was the fact that this was written very well so that you never was at a loss for what was happening.
Okay, I like the clarification because otherwise they're basically like, I like that it didn't suck.
No, that
Okay.
that it was written well. Because some Big Finish stuff, there's stuff going on and there wasn't. You couldn't tell what was happening.
Right.
This was very good. I think it was Phantasmorgia. I think I listened to, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I don't understand what the hell's going on. That, by the way, is very early Big Finish. I think that was like second or third audio.
I think that's one of the less well-liked ones, probably for that reason.
But this one was very well, that you were very clear what was going on. And if it wasn't directly clear, it was narrated so that it was clear.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me able to enjoy the serial a lot better.
Oh, in fact, I want to add this little tidbit too to yours, Randy, because when I started listening to this, I accidentally had my player on shuffle. I was
Oops.
I was wondering why everything seemed to be coming in mixed order until all of a sudden I heard the advertisements at the end, like only 3 or 4 clips in. I'm like, wait a second, and had to get up and change the
Mm,
my player and had to start over from the beginning again.
that's happened to me.
hmm It's like, wow, this is a really disorganized episode. Wait, they're advertising what?
All
Oh
right,
shoot, shuffle. But I was still
so
keeping
let's
up.
let's go on to what we dislike about the episode. And Tim
Ooh.
is first, and he said what he disliked, and this is a nitpick. He felt that the concept of the Triskele, a species divided into three, might have been a bit too abstract to work successfully in an audio story with no visuals. I think it worked fine. You do kind of wonder what they looked like, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. So, Matt,
I'm gonna actually say it's not so much understanding them like Tim, but yeah, I agree with the in particular trying to get a mental image. It isn't until some of the later descriptors that I finally got a mental image, and it was only for like the destructors, what was it called?
was it Uncreators?
The uncreators.
Uncreators, yeah.
Then when they finally described it, the uncreators, that's when I finally had at least a pseudo mental image.
Okay, the only
But
description
otherwise,
that
the previous ones, I'm just like, I'm not really getting it.
the only explicit description that I remember is they talked about the engineer being the equivalent of a little green man but having soft gray skin.
Which made him a gray.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm like, really? That's all you're giving it? Okay. Yeah, I didn't even catch that reference, which is weird for me. But yeah, the uncreators is when they finally gave a description. I'm like, okay, I get it. And then when they described them even more after they were set free, I'm like, oh.
I don't know. My brain, I think, just basically with the uncreators, basically said insert Lovecraftian horror here. Okay, got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, I had a few like mental images of some of the rubber suits they've used in Classic Who for that, but yeah, some of it.
Okay, Bill, how about you?
So I dislike the fact that I had this idea of an of a psychoanalytic metaphor story featuring the Seventh Doctor, all without at all realizing that they had already done that metaphor with the Eighth Doctor, and I was annoyed by that realization.
So you're just annoyed that they did it first.
Kind of, and then I didn't realize it.
Shame.
So your problem is the same problem Bob had with Star Trek Insurrection.
That
No.
he wrote the story, but it already existed.
But mind you, this is Bob, so he had wrote it up as an adventure for our Star Trek role-playing game.
Okay.
And he had introduced us. He had introduced it to us the week before Insurrection came out.
Oh.
And got us the introductory stuff. And I went to go see Insurrection before our next game. I got to the theater, like the showing before him. So I was coming out of the theater as he was coming in, and he's like, "Oh man, how is it?" I'm like, "You're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it." And he comes out. It's like 2 hours later, I get a text from him going, "God damn it!"
See, if that happened in 2018, he could have gotten sued by Paramount. For leaking privileged information.
Oh God, I remember watching that going, "Oh Jesus, you're gonna kill it." It's
gonna kill your inner soul, Bob.
Yeah.
As compared to the outer soul.
Oh, but yeah, so that's the same problem you have with it. Okay, so what I didn't like, honestly, I don't like the concept of vortisaurs.
That's a little bit stretching it. Why do dinosaurs live in the time stream?
Yeah, why is there basically pterodactyls in the time vortex?
Would you have been more okay with it if they were more like the Reapers from Father's Day, where instead of having a taste for blood, they like it had something to do
I
with
don't like
like
the concept of things living in the vortex itself.
Yeah.
okay.
The Reapers
So
technically
that
come in
would
from
not have fixed
outside.
it for you.
No.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that
the
was my
Reapers are a
only real
different thing
complaint
altogether.
then.
They're
So
more like dimensional correctors.
Yeah, they
true.
come. They're
I think at some point, probably in a Big Finish story, they're described as being related biologically.
probably,
Mm,
but that just makes it worse to me.
yeah, that just makes it even more muddled and silly.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that Now you get the mental picture of the TARDIS flying through the time vortex with these frickin' pterodactyls flying around it. No, fucking Jurassic Park time travel. No.
I mean, this is also a series where the Doctor occasionally runs into, elder gods who consider
Oh no,
time
no.
to
Elder
be
gods are fine.
and
They exist
time to be
outside
an
time.
annoyance. Yeah.
Elder
So
gods are fine. The elder gods aren't sitting in the time vortex going, "Hey, you stop."
Mm-hmm.
No.
No, but I mean, like, if there are beings that exist outside time, that means that I have no problem consider time as a realm that something exists in without space or something like that.
My problem is that the time vortex has literally been shown to be able to rip people apart. I just can't. My brain can't fathom something existing in it properly, other than
Because
like
there's not even
magic
anything in
noise,
it to live off of.
which was, by the way, an entirely energy-based being. So
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just the concept of a corporeal being in the vortex bothers me. Okay, favorite scene.
Tim?
And Tim. Yeah, I know. My brain blanked on who was next. That was just me going, Favorite scene. When Tamworth decides to remain on the flying saucer as a means of making amends for his errors. I'm a sucker for a redemption scene, he says. Good scene.
Fair enough, and yeah, he was actually probably the more likable of some of the staff on that ship.
All right. Matt, how about you?
Favorite scene. As much as I don't like their background, I'm not against the whatever soars as a just a creature that happened to be there. Like if it would have actually have been like say a dinosaur accidentally caught onto the TARDIS when he visited somewhere else, and then it came through the vortex with him by accident, I could almost forgive it. And then the fact that they end the episode by the two of them literally flying off on a pterodactyl to find the TARDIS, only in Doctor Who.
Yeah, there's somebody that does retcon love to say that the thing that lived in the Torchwood thing was actually a Vortisaur.
How much you want to bet? Yeah.
All right, Bill, how about you? Favorite scene?
I've been trying to settle on that, and I think I'm going to go just with the scene where they board the Triskele ship, and it's just the three of them and the engineer. And I'm not sure why, other than that it just seems like so right for Doctor Who. And of course, like you later find out that it's setting up this whole Rathbone plot, but I don't know, it seems right that the stuffy lord has all these plans about how he's going to go in and be glorious.
And
they're like, no, I want these two stowaways to come with us. Like, it's just
actually, it wasn't two stowaways. It was the captain, the doctor, and the guy who built the ship.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't Charlie. It was the engineer.
Charlie was back with Rathbone. Yeah,
I screwed that up in the summary too. I said it was Charlie, but yeah, it was the engineer, which he could have used more personality. I keep forgetting about him apparently.
Mm-hmm. You just keep editing him out.
I think he combined him with the with the captain, I think.
But... And so our landing party to the Triskele ship will be the Doctor, Tamworth, and Ensign D'Amato. Fuck.
So that I think that threw me off during that scene where I think in visual Who, like on the television, it would have been Charlie, but since they were in audio, they gave Charlie stuff to do. But
Yeah,
even
they kept
still.
going back to her seeing what was going on
And-
with Rathbone getting the guns
Yeah.
And then trying
preparing
to
this
stop them from
assault.
attacking and all this other stuff. Yeah.
But even ignoring that part, like just he has all these plans to bring all these dignitaries with him, and he's like, "No, I want the doctor, this guy that just showed up out of nowhere. I want him to come with us. Not all of your diplomat friends."
What the hell? God damn it! Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way,
so
I'm also an alien too. Hello.
Mhm. Yeah, they didn't actually find that out until they were in the Triskeli ship and the whole
That's
thing.
true.
Mhm.
Yeah, until he was like, "This isn't a human." It was like, "You're not."
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to answer that.
I mean to mention that. Yeah. Oh well. Hi.
So, all right, my favorite scenes are actually a pair of scenes, one from the very beginning and one from the very end. And it's more the fact that Big Finish lampshading that it has to do everything in audio, where you get the doctor dialoguing for no reason and then basically stops and goes, I really have to stop this habit of talking to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this absolute moment of them parroting the fact that they needed him to talk to himself because there was A, no one there, and B, he needed to narrate what he was doing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they included that just as a lampshade to that. And then they had to bring it back later at the end of the episode when he's pondering the fact that there were 42 people on the ship. Tamworth went away, leaving 41, but they still found 42 bodies, which meant, oh no. And then Charlie comes up and goes, you should really stop talking to yourself. It's a sign you might be going mad. And it's just like, yes, they brought it back.
Turns around. You know what? I was thinking the same thing to myself.
It was just an absolute, yes, they keep bringing that back up.
That line about how I should stop talking to myself is one that I've used many, many times.
I've used it sideways, where I said, I should probably stop talking to myself, but I'm so insightful. So this brings
I'm not
us
worried
around...
about talking to myself. I'm worried about when I start talking back.
I'm not.
You should be.
No, I shouldn't be. Trust me. I hear myself. I hear myself respond to what I say all the time, and usually it's insightful commentary on my life. Stuff when your inner voices are telling you to notice stuff that you hadn't noticed. You have to start wondering.
As long as they're not speaking in tongues.
As long as they're not speaking in tongues and going, "Hey, isn't it time to kill everybody?" No, I don't get those voices. And if they have, they've been stomped into submission by the other voices, so it's all cool. No, basically, my head is basically like an ongoing episode of MST3K.
Oh no, you give me something that's multiple choice in a video game and the Jason whispers start happening.
Nope, not me. Like I said, though, it is like my head is an ongoing episode of MST3K. I walk around, I see stuff going on, and there's just this absolute series of commentary on what's going on, and not all of it is nice.
Well, he was hastily put together.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's like somebody trips and their little voice in the back of my head goes, "Nice to see you in the fall." Yeah, it's like, God damn it, go away. All right, so we are up to our least favorite scene. And Tim's was Weeks getting eaten by the Vortosaur was kind of meh. That's what he thought.
I felt it was unnecessary myself, but yeah, it's not a huge thing.
All right, how about... Did you have a different scene, Matt?
Just the entire scene with the Vortosaurs suddenly getting introduced out of the clear blue freaking sky, along with trying to nudge a ship that was trapped in the vortex. I'm just all sorts of what the hell is even?
What the hell else was traveling in the vortex?
That's what I'd like to know. It was apparently another ship, but he had to nudge it and get the Vortosaurs away from it.
And weren't the Time Lords responding to this? Because wasn't this
You
constitute a
would
danger? To
think, because they would want the vortex clean, you know.
And this is pre-Time War, so the Time Lords should be out there going strong.
And paying attention and clean that stuff, yeah.
This is the version of the TARDIS that has a seal of Rassilon in the console room. They probably stuck in there.
Yeah,
you
would think
so, but
there was a seal of Rassilon.
well, I know the seal of Rassilon was there, but I don't think the Time Lords themselves pushed him into that place to clean up stuff for them.
Well, yeah, but mind you, this was before the resurrection of Rassilon the asshole.
I would expect more cleanup because they're a bunch of pricks when Rassilon's around. At least otherwise they at least announce their presence first.
That seal, having that seal was kind of an ego trip by the Doctor, by the way, because that's basically the seal of the High Council of Time Lords. So, Oh yeah, just a reminder, I was your Lord President. So, Bill, how about you? Least favorite scene?
So I'm going to go with the scene where he brings up the web of time to all the people. And I'm like, I get that as a Time Lord, you want to avoid fixing history. But, like, the web of time is, like, beaten into your heads in this episode. And that scene is the most egregious example where it's just like, as far as they're concerned, this is the modern day. What the hell does it have to do with the web of time anyway? And besides that, I'm pretty sure this is the first time he's phrased it that way in any media except for, I don't know about the Virgin books, but he's never called it the web of time on TV, I don't think.
Oh, yes, he has.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yes. The web of time has been brought up in the TV series.
Okay, so I'll retract that part, but I still felt like it was a bit too much
shoehorned.
and in mixed company.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like they were screaming, "Hey, look, you're in the past."
Right.
You're in the past according to me. Haha.
Yeah, that's the thing. If the story was set in what year did this come out? 2000 something, like 2004 or something. I don't know. If the story was set in 2004, he would not have been talking about the web of time. He just would have been
2001.
It just would have been this could change the course of history. I can't let you have that right now. And then Captain Jack would be, "Can I have it?"
Yeah, the course of history would have been a better term to use.
Right.
But because the web of time had been mentioned a couple times in the TV series, they're just like, "Oh, we'll use that."
Well, it's the season arc that they're starting, so they're just like, "Oh, we need to ram it into everybody's heads now, so that when it becomes a plot point."
Web of time punching you in the face 3 times in a row. Web of time.
Now you see, I'm just getting the picture of the Doctor beating the hell out of someone, going, "You're breaking the web of time! Stop breaking it! Stop breaking it!"
Smacking them over the face with a cricket bat.
No, it should have been more Pertwee. Pertwee, Venusian, Aikidoing some guy.
Web of time smack.
Or Sylvester McCoy and the Umbrella.
Okay. So that was Bill's, I think, least favorite?
Yes, it is.
All right, my least favorite scene. I think just some of the dialogue scenes with the people on the R101 before the Doctor got there, and it's not really that they were bad, it just was a little slow for me. It just was. It's just where it's like interest slightly waning. Da 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 da. Okay, something's happening now. Cool.
It's more prologue than serving the story.
Not main characters. Not main characters. Main characters.
Yeah. Don't care about these assholes. Don't care about these assholes. Oh, look, Charlie's there. Okay, never mind. That was kind of my thought, was the fact that it just kind of dragged a bit for me. But that's it. That's the only reason I dislike it. Otherwise, there's not really a scene that I absolutely hated. Other than I didn't like the Vortosaurus, but I used that as my general.
Mm. Actually,
Okay.
since we're at the end here, one quick add-on for that too is the fact that they mentioned Rathbone getting bit by the Vortosaur apparently aged his arm or something,
Yeah, it was supposed to age it like 20 years, and that was like, what the
and they
fuck?
never go back to that at all.
See, that to me makes more sense than the Vortosaur having a taste for blood.
Yeah, yeah, like it feeds off of aging people or something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that would actually make
The
sense.
same concept that the Weeping Angels
Kind of,
or
sorta.
something. Not the exact same
Not the exact
concept,
same
but a
thing, but a
similar enough
similar idea.
concept.
Yeah,
Mm. It still is kind of a ludicrous concept to me.
it's still a bit of a stretch, but it's at least the most sensical thing about them.
Hmm.
Again, the living in the time vortex is like the fuck no. I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure if you pushed Rassilon in the time vortex, he'd die in it.
Maybe not if he was wearing the sash of Rassilon.
Maybe if not if he's wearing the sash, but if it was just he himself without his fancy gear, push bye.
Mind you, it's not designed to work in the vortex. It's designed to work in the heart of a supernova, but
I
still.
mean,
It'd be almost a similar thought though.
I'm pretty sure Rassilon's robes are made out of the same plot armor material as the Masters.
No, we're talking about the sash, that metal thing he wore in
No,
Deadly
but
Assassin.
I'm just saying his regular clothing has plot armor, and you can throw him into the supernova within the time vortex in an alternate universe, and he would just pop back up whenever he needed to.
See, the master would actually have a plan to save himself. I'm not so sure about Rassilon. He's got too much of an ego.
Would have to see. I disagree with you, Bill, because plot armor is generally something Doctor Who tends to avoid.
Tries to.
But
So
yeah,
how has the Master survived all those times?
He
the
actually had
master.
plans. He's the
Yeah,
master.
he usually actually tells us how he survived when he
Yeah.
comes back.
He usually has a plan, and he tells us literally when we get back to him. It's like,
How did you escape
"Ah,
there? I had a backup TARDIS.
I had a
Which
backup
I could,
plan. Here, let me gloat for the
because
next
I
5
can believe
minutes."
that, because I believe the Master is perfectly capable of materializing on Gallifrey, stealing a second TARDIS, and leaving.
Mm-hmm. He has some way of doing it, I'm sure. This is why I don't believe that Missy's dead, and if Missy is dead, she's teleported away somewhere
Oh,
and
definitely
regenerated.
there.
hmm
The master is still out there somewhere.
Mind you, I'll miss Missy. I honestly
Yes.
will. She was the best part of the Capaldi era.
Mm-hmm. One of the best things that came out of it, yeah.
She was unbelievably. It was like female Ainley. It was great.
If they do a new master, I still hope that they come back and maybe do a 3 masters at some point.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Outside of Big Finish, because I think Big
Although
Finish
I
would
don't
have
know,
done
there
that
might
by
be
now,
issues
but-
if Missy met Sims again.
Oh, there might be infighting, yeah. You son of a bitch punch. Not what you were saying.
All right, so let's move on to our final thoughts. I know we're only an hour and a half in, but it's a big finish. That
It's
happens.
a big finish, and we are missing people, so.
Mhm.
Yep. All right. So Tim's final thoughts. He thought this was one of the better big finishes he's heard. Paul McGann was great. Supporting characters had interesting arcs, and he finds he is drawn to Charlie like he has not been to a new companion before. That's all he has to say. Matt?
I think I've heard of Charlie before, and I think the little bit of experience I've had with her has been usually good so far, and this has been no exception. I love hearing some more Paul McGann. He is a doctor I don't really hear about enough, to be honest, and it's nice to hear another good story out of him. If this was his first big finish thing, they did a pretty good first outing then, as far as I'm concerned. There's a few little tweaks in the plot that I would have corrected or gotten rid of, but otherwise, for the most part, it's a pretty solid episode.
All right. Bill?
I definitely like it as an episode. We found some nitpicks, but it's pretty good. Like we said, it introduces a new Doctor to Big Finish. It introduces a new story arc, which has some definite hiccups, but is pretty solid altogether. I think this is the. I'm not sure if any of the other Doctors at this point were trying to do real story arcs the way this was, but uh, this I think definitely is the most successful, if so, if comparing other Big Finish stories at the time.
They had some stuff that was going on,
I know
but
the
they were
Seventh
more
Doctor
micro.
seemed to be kind of weaving in and out of the VNAs in an awkward way.
I think this was about the point that the Fifth Doctor also picked up Aramum,
Right.
and so that started a plot arc with the Fifth Doctor.
Mm. And the Sixth Doctor was probably traveling with Evelyn.
Mm-hmm. Or
Evil
would
Lynn.
be shortly. Evelyn Smythe.
Oh, Evelyn.
No, it's British, Matt, so it actually is Evelyn.
Yeah, I suppose.
But altogether, I like Charlie. She's a fun companion, even when she's thick. And this story does a good job of introducing her.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that everything?
Yeah.
All right. So generally, I like this story. There are some parts of it I don't like. I Vortisaurus. But other than that, most of the R101 stuff I find fairly interesting, fairly well written, and fairly well acted. There are a couple of exceptions, none of them by the main cast. Charlie is vibrant and energetic, which is wonderful. And Paul McGann is great to hear because this is literally the audio that brought him basically back from the dumper that was the 96 movie.
Mm-hmm.
And proved that he could be the Doctor. All in all, there are some little minor snafus that makes it good, but in my opinion, not great. All right, so now we go to ratings. All right, and Tim, of course, who liked this, gave it a 4.5.
Oh. Hmm.
Matt, you are next.
Outside of the the pterodactyls, I have to probably agree with Tim on 4.5. This is a pretty solid one as far as I'm concerned.
Bill?
Yeah, I'd say we found enough to knock it down from a 5, but not to knock it below a 4.5.
All right.
4.5
I'm
it is.
a little lower than you guys. I'm going to be the doubting Thomas in this. And I am going to give this a 4.0.
Boo.
Just
Doubting
because
Thomas wouldn't even listen to it, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. And mine is not just the Vortisaurus, it's also the weak ship captain who was a major secondary character, but didn't really have much of a personality.
Oh no, it's not the ship captain. It's the engineer. I think you're
The
complaining
engineer,
about.
the engineer, yeah, the wishy-washy guy. Just kind of.
See, I kept track of him good enough, but yeah, don't blame you guys for forgetting that he's there, and you keep combining him with the captain.
When he's there, you can notice because he's physically there, but when he leaves the room, was there a guy there?
Was there a guy here?
Yeah.
It feels like something's missing, but I could put my finger on it.
He's like the silence personified in a character. But between it all, it knocked it down to about a 4.24 for me, which rounds down. So, yeah, so that's enough to go to 4.0, which basically, with our scores combined and then divided, our average comes out to a 4.4, which, ranking it... What? Okay, so why something's not right here? Hang on.
Stop breaking the spreadsheet.
I'm not sure why the spreadsheet keeps breaking. Somebody's not copying.
It's the web of time.
Okay, I can see who's breaking. Why is Matt suddenly copying my score? And did that happen last week? Yes, it did.
What have you done?
Apparently, you
not that I think it mattered last week. and it's fine the week before. So for whatever reason, it didn't. When I copied last week's into this week, it copied yours wrong. But there we go. Back on track. Oh, I think I see what happened. Okay. I think I might have copied off center or something. Either way, I've got the right score now. So let's take that and sort it. Trying to maintain the spreadsheet is hard, yo.
I wonder what you're doing to the spreadsheet that makes it bug out so much.
All right. So with a 4.4, Big Finish Storm Warnings comes out as number 45 out of 260.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. At a 4.4, it is on par with a lot of things, including Class, the Metaphysical Engine, or What Quill Did, The 11th Hour, Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, Time Reaver, Partners in Crime, The Time Warrior, The Spirit Trap, Face the Raven, Judgment of Iskar, Husbands of River Song, Santarm Stratagem, Poison Sky, Terror of the Zygon, Smoke and Mirrors. It is better than The Three Doctors, Nightmare in Silver, Shadow of Death, Babelsphere, Ice Warriors, The Dalek Invasion of Earth, The Last Santaran, etc., etc. And it is not as good as The War Machines, Spare Parts, The Invasion, Rebus Operation, Thin Ice, World Enough in Time / The Doctor Falls, Thousand Worlds / The Heart of Battle, Enlightenment, New Earth, etc., etc. So number 45 out of 260. That is all we have to say about Storm Warning.
All right. So don't forget to follow us on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, and you can also head on over to facebook.com/unearthlypodcast or twitter.com/unearthlypod to hear even more from us. Hope you do. If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast.
All right. So next week, after dealing with Charlie's arrival, we are going to deal with her departure. We are going to go quite far into the future of Big Finish, from the 2001 release to 2007, and deal with how the Doctor finally deals with all of this in The Girl Who Never Was. Written also by Alan Barnes, and starring Paul McGann as the Doctor and India Fisher as Charlie Pollard. See you next week.
Good night.
Night.